So the DA has welcomed President Cyril Ramaphosa's decision to suspend the South Gauteng Director of Public Prosecutions, Advocate Chauke, with immediate effect. An inquiry into his fitness to hold office is now pending. The presidency says keeping him in the role and serious allegations could damage the NPA's reputation. To unpack this development, we are now joined by former senior prosecutor and DA Member of Parliament, Advocate Glynnis Breytenbach. A very good morning to you, Glynnis. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. I want to start off from just a personal point of view, considering that you have worked with the NPA and the work that you've done. I remember even with your disciplinary hearing, the tension that was there every time we went to go and cover that specific disciplinary hearing. But what do you make about now arriving at this particular decision that has been taken by the president?
Morning, Alden. Yeah, you know, it's quite odd that the president, and of course it's just the wording, and it's always like that, says, you know, suspended with immediate effect. You'll recall that the national director, Simelane, asked something like 4 years ago for Advocate Chauke to be suspended. Of course, only the president can suspend him, and she asked that length of time ago for the president to suspend him. It's taken this length of time for him to do so. So there's nothing immediate about it. And the damage that he's done is, you know, very difficult to reverse. The NPA has a top-down culture, and having somebody like Advocate Chauke as the GPP in Gauteng, South Gauteng, you know, it's a very big division. It's a very busy division. There are many, many prosecutors in that division, and they are led from the front, and in this case, led rather poorly. So, you know, Advocate Chauke has a long history. He was the regional head of the Johannesburg Specialized Commercial Crime Unit many years ago. He resigned with 24 hours notice when the Brett Kebble thing hit the news because of his connections there. And then he was brought back by Menzi Simelane under Jacob Zuma to do a job. And the job wasn't to be a good director of public prosecutions, this we all know. And he's done that job. He's done well. And he's one of the elements in the National Prosecuting Authority who have constantly undermined the national director and made her job of restructuring the NPA immeasurably more difficult.
Yeah. On the 5th of March, when the Minister Senzo Mchunu as well as Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi appeared before Parliament, I remember him making reference to your stint at the NPA, but also how difficult it was to deal with the Richard Mdluli matter. Are you able to take us into confidence around how difficult that period was for you, also considering that at the center of all of that as well was, of course, Richard Mdluli?
Yeah, at the center of it was Richard Mdluli, hotly denied, of course, by the National Prosecuting Authority at the time. But, you know, history has played out and has demonstrated that, you know, all of those state capture players have one by one, you know, look at Nomkobo Jiba, Sean Abrams, Menzi Simelane himself, Lawrence Mkhwebi and Chauke. One by one, you know, they've been gotten rid of by a system that's terribly, terribly slow. I'm a firm believer in you know, the rule of law and due process, but to allow these things to play out like that is not satisfactory. My own disciplinary, I'm quite sure would still have been on the go now if myself and my legal team hadn't insisted daily that the matter run, that the matter be dealt with, that we don't want postponements, that we refuse requests for postponements. We wanted it done. Otherwise, it would also have been dragged out by them forever. So, yeah, you know, Mdluli was the big issue for me. He was, in my view, there was a very strong case of at least fraud, theft, and corruption against him. It was delayed and delayed and delayed. And earlier this year, he made his trial started on that matter, 14 years down the line, in court. So he's already served his prison term for what was, in my view, the murder of Oupa Ramaghibe. He was charged with assault and found guilty. In my view, that's still a travesty of justice, and he should have been charged with murder. But he served that sentence, and he's out of jail. and he's being tried now for the corruption matter that was the centre of my disciplinary. So, history has vindicated me, and I've moved on.
Yeah. The terms of reference of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into the allegations that have been made by Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, do you think that those terms of reference should also include looking at the role of the likes of Advocate Chauke?
I think the terms of reference should not be limited to very narrow issues. I think the terms of reference should allow for broader issues to be investigated as they arise, because they will arise. And so these kinds of involvements will arise from that investigation, and the terms of reference should be framed in a fashion that doesn't exclude them. I don't think it's necessary for the terms of reference to frame them, but the terms of reference should be framed in such a fashion, wide enough to accommodate important matters, because you can't go chasing after every bagatelle, you'll never get done. But to allow for the inclusion then of important matters that arise during the course, yeah.
Yeah, and the other part around this, Glynnis, this back and forth and the debate that is taking place, I don't know if you want to venture into it, with the MK party at least also now, with the matter before the Constitutional Court arguing that a sitting judge should not be a person who presides over a commission of inquiry. And even though the point are made to Judge President, or well, former Judge President, this is Judge Chauke. Can you hear me? Hi, Glynnis, can you still hear me?
I didn't hear the questions.
Okay.
Sorry, I lost you.
Okay, let's try again.
I can hear you.
So I'm saying on the matter that has been brought by the MK party against the president's decision to set up this Judicial Commission of Inquiry and the appointment of Justice Madlanga, who is the acting Chief Justice of the country. So their argument is again that you can't, or you shouldn't have a sitting judge be appointed to preside over a commission of inquiry, also considering that you have these allegations being made against the judiciary as well. What's your interpretation around this, even though the president has said that Justice Madlanga would only preside over this inquiry after his term comes to an end, this meaning that when he retires now at the end of July?
Sure. So, and I understand that a lot of people struggle with the objectivity required and conflation of issues. But, judges spend their entire lives practicing the skill and honing the skill of objectivity, of removing themselves from the arena. And so they're capable of great objectivity. They really are capable of shutting off their own personal views and insulating themselves from that while they perform their duties. They do it every day. So it's nothing strange. Justice Madlanga is one of the most senior jurists in this country. He has a stellar career and a stellar reputation. He's going to do it once he's retired. I don't see any conflict. But the question would be this: who would then preside over such a commission, a commission of inquiry, which presupposes a judge, if judges are presumed to be incapable of that kind of objectivity? Retired judges are still, members of the judiciary. You can't go through life tainting them like that. It's not reasonable, and it's not rational, and it's just not true. Judges are perfectly capable, as are most lawyers, with years of practice, capable of insulating themselves from personal issues. And I have all the confidence in the world in Justice Madlanga.
Yeah, and of course, like we've seen with former Judge President John Chauke, there's also the potential of trying to influence the decisions made by judges.
Certainly, and that was also, dealt with over a way too long a period of time, but dealt with. And he's not the only judge that has been dealt with. He's not the only judge. There are currently judges being dealt with. Those issues are dealt with. People are fallible. Mistakes are made. There are rotten eggs. One needs to weed them out. These things happen.
All right. Thank you so much. Advocate Glynnis Breytenbach.